Trump walked into it thinking it would be easy, just an IQ test against Obama, broadcast live on national TV, but half a minute later, the entire room froze, and for the first time, the expression on Trump's face told the whole story that it all began with a moment nobody could have predicted. A bright afternoon in Washington, cameras firing, reporters calling out, and President Trump in the Rose Garden wearing that familiar grin, the one that always meant he was about to drop something bold, but this time, it wasn't about policy, the economy, or the media. It was about Barack Obama, let's be honest, Trump said, pointing toward the press. Everyone talks about how smart Obama is. But I'd love to see him take an IQ test with me. I'd win, easily. Easily. A few reporters chuckled, thinking it was another offhand Trump jab. But he didn't laugh. He held still, letting the cameras soak him in, confidence radiating from the way he stood to the tone in his voice. No one in history, he added, has a higher IQ than me. Nobody. The press hesitated for half a second, then exploded with questions. Mr. President, are you serious? Someone called out. Trump turned toward the voice. Dead serious. Let's do it. Tell Obama he can even pick the test. Within minutes, the clip was everywhere. News channels looped it non-stop. Twitter blew up. Hashtags like IQ Test Challenge and Trump vs. Obama shot up the trending list before Trump even left the podium. His communications staff stood nearby, half smiling, half uneasy, unsure if this was brilliant PR or a slow-motion disaster, but Trump fed off the attention. He called it classic showmanship, retweeting fan-made edits of himself towering over a cartoon test paper labeled genius. To him, it was fun. It was good TV. For hours, the world waited for Obama's response. Cable panels broke it down. Late-night shows roasted it. Online creators turned the Rose Garden moment into a global spectacle. One question lingered: would Obama respond at all? Inside the White House, though, not everyone felt the excitement. Some advisors sensed danger. One senior aide, Victor Dunning, known for telling hard truths, tried to warn him. Mr. President, he said quietly in the Oval Office, if Obama actually takes this challenge, it could backfire. He's calm. Sharp. People like him when he doesn't rise to bait. Trump waved him off. Victor, people love me when I win. That's what this is, winning. Everyone will see who's smarter. Or, Victor said carefully, they'll just see who's louder. Trump didn't respond. He stared out the window at the reporters on the lawn. He won't do it, he said at last. He's all talk. That's why I'm president and he's not. But Trump underestimated something: Obama's talent for surprising people without ever raising his voice. That evening, in a quiet room in Martha's Vineyard, Obama sat at his desk reading headlines. He chuckled, shaking his head. Michelle leaned against the doorway. Let me guess, she said, you've gone viral again. He smiled. Looks like I've been challenged to a duel of wits. With who this time? She teased. Trump, he said. IQ test. Michelle rolled her eyes. You're not actually thinking of responding, right? He paused, thoughtful, maybe. But not the way he expects. Obama knew something Trump didn't: how to turn noise into clarity. He didn't rush to Twitter. Didn't call reporters. He waited, letting the memes, the debate, the jokes swirl. He let silence build tension. Meanwhile, public reaction started shifting. Amusement turned into unease. Editorials began questioning whether a sitting president should challenge a former one to an IQ test. Others mocked it as playground politics. Even some Trump supporters felt uncomfortable. I love the guy, a Florida caller told a radio host, but why does he need to prove anything to Obama? Just do your job. Still, Trump enjoyed every headline. He believed attention, any attention, meant he was winning, but the next morning, the tone flipped. Obama was scheduled to speak at a virtual education summit hosted by Stanford. A non-political event. Most assumed he'd ignore the drama completely, except he didn't. The moderator mentioned the viral challenge with a grin. Obama chuckled, paused, then leaned toward the camera. Well, he said, if the president wants to measure intelligence, I'm happy to help. But maybe we do it the right way, live, transparent, moderated by actual experts. That seems fair. The audience laughed, not mocking, but impressed. Obama's calm delivery sliced through the chaos like a blade wrapped in silk. It wasn't defensive. It wasn't petty. It was grace. Trump's team watched it from the West Wing. Victor let out a long breath. He accepted it, he whispered. Trump leaned back, smirk fading. Good, he muttered. Let's see if he can keep up. But even he could feel the energy shift. This wasn't just spectacle anymore. It was pride versus composure. Volume versus intelligence, and what came next would prove that the quietest man in the room can sometimes create the loudest silence. Within minutes, the internet erupted again. Twitter flooded with clips. TikTok creators edited Obama's calm smile into dramatic montages. YouTube filled with titles like "Obama outsmarts Trump in seconds," the hashtag IQgate overtook global trending lists. Late night shows stitched Obama's "Let's do it live with experts" next to Trump's boast about having the highest IQ in history. The contrast set everything. One voice calm and sharp, the other loud and defensive, and across the country, in living rooms, offices, classrooms, people had opinions. In Phoenix. Continues. In Phoenix, a teacher named Ronald Keaton played Obama's clip for his students during lunch. That's composure, he told them. Confidence without shouting. His students laughed, one whispering, "Obama just owned him," politely. In Miami, a group of retirees argued about it over coffee. Trump picked the wrong fight this time, one woman said. Another shook her head. He always does. He just never realizes it until it's too late. Even political commentators who usually avoided taking sides weighed in. On one cable network, a conservative strategist named Linda Travers sighed and said, "The president's turning this into a circus. Obama's playing chess while Trump is busy flipping the board." Meanwhile, Trump watched everything from the residence, jumping between channels. Every pundit, every panel, every headline revolved around Obama's words, none of his. And that irritated him more than anything. He wanted control of the narrative. Instead, it was slipping from his grip. He grabbed his phone and opened Truth Social. His thumbs fired off a response. Obama's answer was weak. "Everyone knows he's scared of a real test. I'd score perfect marks, perfect." Within minutes, the post had thousands of shares. His supporters rallied behind him. "He's the smartest president in history," one wrote. Another chimed in, "Obama's afraid." Someone else replied, "Afraid of what? A spelling test." Even his media allies weren't united. Some defended him, calling the challenge harmless. Others quietly stepped back. They'd seen this pattern before, Trump making a bold claim, only for it to become the next day's punchline. Late that night, Fox News aired a segment titled IQ Challenge. Who really wins? It didn't go his way. A guest psychologist explained that IQ tests weren't about power or dominance, they measure reasoning and comprehension, she said. Confidence can't replace logic. In the West Wing, Trump's senior advisors met again. The room felt tight with tension. Victor Dunning stood by the TV, arms crossed. "This is getting out of hand," he said. "You wanted attention, now it's a firestorm." Trump brushed him off. "People love it. Ratings are through the roof." "Ratings don't fix credibility," Victor answered carefully. Trump leaned in. "You think I care about credibility? I care about winning." Victor hesitated. "Then you may want to figure out how to win this, without losing face." But Trump wasn't listening. His phone buzzed with a CNN alert. Obama accepts Trump's IQ challenge. Experts volunteer to moderate. For the first time, Trump's smirk slipped that he knew exactly what that meant. Obama wasn't backing down. He was controlling the terms. That night in Martha's Vineyard, Obama sat quietly at his laptop reviewing emails from Stanford faculty. Several cognitive researchers had offered to design a fair, televised reasoning exam. Obama read through their proposals calmly. Michelle walked in with a cup of tea. "You're really going to do it?" she asked. That he looked up, thinking. Not for him. For the principal. You don't let someone redefine what intelligence is. She smiled. You always did love a good teaching moment. The next morning, the world woke up to chaos. Every news outlet ran the same headline, Obama accepts test, to be broadcast live from Los Angeles. On a morning show, a co-host gasped as the announcement flashed across the screen. He's actually doing it, she said, laughing. This is history. It's not history yet, her co-host replied, but it's definitely must-watch TV. Across social media, people placed bets on the outcome. Memes flooded feeds, comparisons of Trump and Obama labeled brains versus bravado or the test of the century. One viral clip showed Obama walking calmly into a meeting room as dramatic music played and the words, 31 seconds later, flashed across the screen. Even international media joined in. BBC called it a clash of intellect and ego, French outlets dubbed it le duel du siècle, but in Washington, Trump's inner circle felt anything but amused. Staffers whispered about whether this could hurt approval ratings. Some urged him to back out, claiming the presidency shouldn't be dragged into a public IQ showdown. Others warned it was too late, backing out now would look far worse. Trump paced in the Oval Office, tapping his fingers on the desk. He thinks he can beat me, he muttered. We'll see. Meanwhile, Obama's team prepared quietly, with almost zero leaks. His approach was intentional and calm. No posts. No gloating. No ego. Instead, his communications director released a short statement. President Obama welcomes a constructive public discussion on reasoning and leadership. The contrast couldn't have been sharper. By nightfall, the entire country buzzed with anticipation. Cable networks ran countdowns, Trump versus Obama IQ test, live at 8 p.m., but beneath the hype, something deeper was shifting. What started as a showman's challenge was becoming a test of character, and Obama's calm confidence wasn't the only surprise waiting. The preparation behind it would change everything. The morning of the summit felt different. No frenzy. No tension. Just a quiet, focused precision, almost surgical in its calm. The online education summit hosted by Stanford was already gaining traction, but now it was exploding with global attention. What was meant to be a routine discussion on learning and innovation had suddenly become the most anticipated live stream of the year. Inside a sleek conference room overlooking the Massachusetts coastline, cameras were being adjusted and microphones tested. Obama arrived a few minutes early, wearing a simple navy suit, no entourage, no theatrics. He greeted the crew with his familiar warmth. Morning, folks. Let's keep it simple today, he said, flashing that easy smile that made people instantly relax. The moderator, Dr. Helen Strauss, a respected academic, leaned in and whispered, I have to ask, are you really going to mention the IQ thing? Obama chuckled. I think the audience already has, he replied. As the broadcast went live, viewers flooded in, teachers, parents, college students, foreign diplomats. The chat scrolled faster than anyone could read, filled with messages like, he's actually here, and, is he going to say something about Trump? The first stretch went smoothly. Obama spoke about the importance of curiosity and how education connects generations. His tone was steady, reflective, carrying that signature calm that always seemed to center any room he entered. Then came the moment everyone was waiting for. Dr. Strauss smiled and said, President Obama, before we wrap up, there's something trending online. I think you know what I mean. Obama grinned. I may have seen a headline or two. She continued, the current president publicly challenged you to an IQ test. Do you have any comment? The air shifted. Obama paused, looked directly into the camera, and spoke with measured grace. Well, he began, if the president wants to measure intelligence, that's fine. But maybe we do it the right way, live, transparent, moderated by experts, and focused on reasoning, not rhetoric. The audience laughed lightly, not at him, but with respect. He wasn't mocking anyone. He was setting a tone. A tone that said we can play along, but we'll do it with class. He leaned forward, hands clasped. The truth is, intelligence isn't about who talks the loudest, or who boasts the biggest. It's about how you think under pressure. How you listen. How you learn. And how you treat the people who disagree with you. That's real intelligence. The line hit hard. Within seconds, it was clipped, captioned, and spreading everywhere. How you think under pressure became the phrase of the day. Teachers tweeted it. Journalists quoted it. Even quiet politicians reshared it with subtle nods of approval. Meanwhile in Washington, Trump was watching from the residence, arms crossed, a frown slowly forming. His aides exchanged uneasy looks. "He's doing it again," Victor Dunning muttered. "He's turning this into something meaningful." Trump didn't respond. His eyes stayed fixed on the screen, and then Obama added, "I'll accept the challenge. But let's make it productive. Let's talk problem solving. Reasoning. Comprehension. Decision making. No tricks. No gotchas. Just real thinking." The chat section exploded. Obama wasn't dodging, he was accepting and elevating the entire conversation. Dr. Strauss smiled. "So, a live test moderated by experts?" Obama nodded. "If that's what he wants, then let's do it. The public can judge for themselves. After all, transparency is a good thing." That line, "the public can judge for themselves," shifted everything. It wasn't angry. It wasn't arrogant. It was smooth, quiet control. By the time the live stream ended, clips were everywhere. News outlets scrambled. CNN called it Obama's cool counter. MSNBC labeled it grace under fire. Even Fox News ran with "Obama accepts IQ challenge, on his terms." Talk shows broke down every detail, the smile, the timing, the composure. One late-night host joked, "You could practically hear Trump's blood pressure spike from here," sending the audience into laughter. Back in D.C., Trump called an emergency meeting with his communications team. "We're doing it," he said, pacing behind the Resolute desk. "Get me the best test, the best moderators. Make it live. We'll show them who's smarter." Victor sighed quietly. "Sir, maybe you should." "No maybes," Trump snapped. "It's happening. Schedule it." As the team rushed to handle logistics, Victor couldn't shake the memory of Obama's tone, calm, deliberate. He'd seen it before, back during the campaign years. Obama's quiet confidence had a way of disarming even his fiercest critics. "He knows exactly what he's doing," Victor muttered. Across the country, Americans were glued to their screens. The internet split into two sides, those who saw this as entertainment, and those who recognized something deeper underneath. Comment sections turned into debates about what intelligence really means: book smarts, emotional awareness, leadership, perspective. Everyone had an opinion. By sunrise, a date had been locked in. Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, live from the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. 2 President's Point 1 stage. No teleprompters. The announcement sent shockwaves online. News networks cleared their weekend schedules. Online stores began selling shirts reading "I'm with Obama and Trump 200 IQ Club," but beneath the memes and noise, something else was taking shape. This wasn't entertainment anymore. It wasn't just about a test anymore. It was about contrast. The world was preparing to watch two very different forms of intelligence collide. Obama spent the night with his daughters, laughing and eating takeout. When one of them asked if he felt nervous, he smiled. "No," he said. "You don't get nervous when you already know who you are." But the next stage, the preparation for the test itself, would push both men further than they expected. The announcement of the live IQ test hit the world like a shockwave. Within an hour, every major network had cut to breaking news. Across screens everywhere appeared the headline, "Obama versus Trump, live IQ test Saturday." The National Press Club had never seen anything like it. Reporters began setting up outside days early. Barricades appeared. Staff whispered that it felt less like an academic event and more like a heavyweight title fight, intellect versus instinct. Inside the White House, tension snapped like static. Trump's inner circle worked non-stop to give him every advantage. Consultants claiming expertise in cognitive testing were brought in. Charts, graphs, and mock questions covered the conference room. "Make sure they know I'm ready," Trump said as he walked in, tie loose, voice booming. I want the toughest questions, logic, math, memory. People need to see how fast my brain works. Victor Dunning exchanged a cautious glance with another aide. Sir, that's exactly what they're going to see, he said carefully. We just want the format to be fair. Trump leaned in, lowering his voice. Fair is fine. Losing isn't. Meanwhile, Obama's preparation looked nothing like IT.no war room. No staged rehearsals, just a quiet evening in his home office, a notepad, and a small group of academic volunteers working remotely. Dr. Helen Strauss, who had moderated his summit appearance, helped coordinate alongside independent experts. The goal is transparency, she said in a video call. No politics. Just reasoning and analysis. That's all I need, Obama replied, jotting down a few notes. Michelle stepped in holding a folder. You know, you could just ignore all this, she said softly. You don't have anything to prove. I know, he said. But silence can look like weakness. I just want people to understand that calm doesn't mean complacent. That night, while the world argued online, Obama reread old notes from his law school years, pages of logic puzzles, thought experiments, and problem-solving drills that he wasn't preparing to win, that he was preparing to teach. Back in Washington, networks battled for exclusive rights. CNN wanted it. Fox wanted it. NBC won the feed, with others sharing the broadcast. The final panel of moderators was set: Dr. Strauss, Dr. Raymond Chen from MIT, and Professor Linda Bauer from Berkeley. They insisted on one condition: total neutrality. Trump's staff hated it. We need someone friendly in there, an advisor grumbled. Someone who won't embarrass him if things get heated. Victor cut in. That's the problem. If we try to control it, it looks rigged. He needs credibility. Trump waved him off. No. What I need is victory. Big, beautiful victory. In the days leading up to the test, the city transformed. Posters popped up outside coffee shops showing caricatures of both presidents squaring off like boxers. Late-night shows aired spoof training videos of actors pretending to cram for IQ exams. The whole event took on a surreal quality, part comedy, part thriller, but underneath the jokes, something serious was happening. Americans were talking about ego, about leadership, about what intelligence truly meant. Parents debated it with their kids, college students streamed discussions on Twitch. Psychologists wrote op-eds breaking down IQ, emotional intelligence, and decision-making, and in that national conversation, Obama's tone, calm, measured, deliberate, started winning people over. The Friday before the event, both men made brief statements. Trump's was classic Trump, bold and overflowing with confidence. I'm looking forward to showing everyone how smart I am. Nobody knows more about IQ than me. Obama's was understated. I think it'll be an interesting conversation, he said as he left a cafe in Martha's Vineyard. It's good for people to see that intellect doesn't have to divide us. It reminds us we're always learning. The contrast was stunning. Even some of Trump's usual supporters privately admitted Obama sounded presidential. That evening, rehearsal lights clicked on in the National Press Club. Technicians fine-tuned microphones, cameras, and timers. The moderators reviewed questions in a private room. Each question tests reasoning, Professor Bauer said. Not memorization. This isn't trivia, it's about how they think under pressure. At 8 that night, the moderators ran one last practice round. 30 seconds per problem, just enough time to think, but short enough to keep viewers anxious. Outside, crowds gathered. Some held signs reading brains over bluster, others sported red hats that read genius tested. Vendors sold popcorn and shirts as if it were a sporting event. The entire city felt like it was holding a collective breath. Not far from the venue, inside a quiet hotel room, Obama reviewed the format one last time with Dr. Strauss on a video call. We'll keep everything transparent, she assured him. Pure logic. Pure analysis. He nodded. I'm not worried about the questions. I'm worried about what it says about us, that two presidents need a test to prove who's smart. She paused, then replied gently, maybe that's exactly why you're stepping up. Across town, in a suite buzzing with advisors, Trump stood before a mirror practicing different expressions. Strong face, he muttered. Confident. No hesitation. A staffer whispered, "Sir, people will be watching your reactions too." "I know," Trump snapped back. "And they're going to love what they see." As the final night before the broadcast came to an end, both men settled in their own very different ways, one through quiet focus, the other through sheer performance. And somewhere between those extremes, an entire country waited to witness what would unfold when calm intellect met raw ego, live, unfiltered, unforgettable. But when the cameras finally lit up the next evening, no one, not even the moderators, could have predicted what the opening minutes would bring. Saturday night in Washington was electric, not with protests or crowds, but with anticipation. The streets around the National Press Club were packed with lights, microphones, and people waving homemade signs. Some were playful, "May the best brain win," others were blunt, "Intelligence over ego." Regardless of politics, everyone could feel it. Something bizarre and historic was about to take place. Inside, security was tight. Reporters whispered live updates into their microphones, their voices echoing across the marble hall. A Reuters correspondent summed it up perfectly: "It feels like the Super Bowl, except the prize is bragging rights." Backstage in a small holding room, Obama sat calmly with a cup of tea. He reviewed the moderator's notes one more time, reading with quiet concentration. His longtime aide, Miles Turner, leaned against the wall. "You know," Miles said, "most people in your spot would be panicking right now." Obama smiled. "That's because most people forget, it's just a conversation with questions." "You think he'll play fair?" Miles asked. "I think he'll play loud," Obama replied, placing the notes aside. Across the hall, the mood couldn't have been more different. Trump's room was chaotic, filled with aides, cameras, makeup artists, and staffers running through talking points that had nothing to do with cognitive testing. Trump paced before the mirror, muttering, "Stay focused. Look strong. People love a winner." Victor Dunning stood near the door, arms crossed. "Mr. President, staying calm will help you. If they praise Obama, it'll look better if you appear gracious." Trump shot him a glare. "Gracious doesn't win ratings. Dominance does." At 7:58 p.m., the stage was ready. Two desks faced each other under soft lights, like intellectual duelists. Between them stood the moderator's table, equipped with tablets, microphones, and a large timer overhead. NBC anchor Dana Hollis opened the live broadcast. "Good evening, America. Tonight, for the first time ever, a sitting president and a former president will take part in a live cognitive reasoning exam, moderated by independent experts." The camera panned to the audience, journalists, students, invited guests, everyone holding their breath. Then the announcement boomed: "Please welcome the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and the 44th President of the United States, Barack Obama." The two men walked out from opposite sides. Trump strode out with swagger, waving, smiling, soaking in the moment. Obama walked in quietly, offering a small, controlled wave, commanding the room simply by being still. They shook hands, polite but distant. "Mr. President. Mr. President." Dana greeted them. "Thank you both for agreeing to be here." Trump leaned toward his mic. "Fantastic to be here. I'm hearing the ratings are already record-breaking." Obama chuckled lightly. "I'm just glad people are tuning into something that doesn't involve shouting." Laughter rippled across the room, easing the tension for just a moment. Then Dr. Strauss spoke. "Gentlemen, this is a timed evaluation of logic and reasoning. No trick questions. All answers will be scored live." Trump nodded. "Sounds easy." Obama smiled. "We'll see." The first problem appeared on the screen. A train leaves Chicago at 60 miles per hour. Another leaves Dallas at 80 miles per hour headed toward Chicago. "Where do they meet?" Trump immediately began scribbling. 80 minus 60, divided by, wait, what's the distance again? Obama, meanwhile, calmly worked through the logic. If the distance is 800 miles, the meeting point is based on distance covered relative to speed. They'd meet roughly 343 miles from Chicago. Dr. Chin tapped the button. "Correct." The audience clapped. Trump looked up, irritated. "Wait, we didn't get the full numbers." "That's not fair." Dr. Strauss replied gently. both participants received the same information, Mr. President. Trump muttered under his breath, but the cameras caught the frustration flickering across his eyes. The next set of questions came rapid fire, pattern sequences, logic grids, visual tests. Obama stayed steady, answering each one with quiet precision. Trump, meanwhile, narrated his thought process out loud, talking over the moderators more than once. At one point, Dr. Bauer gently interrupted, "Please hold your commentary until your final answer, Mr. President." Trump huffed, "Fine. But people like hearing how I think. That's why they watch." Obama kept his head down, working in silence. In the control booth, producers exchanged excited looks. One of them whispered, "This is incredible TV." By the fifth question, the contrast was undeniable. Obama's focus was razor sharp, confident without noise. Trump's energy was restless, tapping his pen, shifting in his chair, glancing at the crowd for cues. The moderators called for a brief pause. The audience murmured with anticipation. Cameras zoomed in on each man. Obama sipped water. Trump fussed with his microphone. "Feeling good?" Obama asked lightly. "I always feel good," Trump replied. "Winning feels good. We'll see who's winning after this round," Obama said with an easy smile. The timer reset. Round 2 began, and within the next half-minute, something happened no one in that room, not even the experts, saw coming. The soft beep signaled the start. The screen behind them showed the first puzzle. Dr. Strauss read aloud, "If every rose is a flower, and some flowers fade quickly, can we conclude that some roses fade quickly?" It was a classic reasoning question, one that required clean logic, not memorization. Obama leaned forward, pen in hand. Trump leaned back, tapping his marker, lips tight. Obama answered first, "No. The statement doesn't tell us roses are among the flowers that fade quickly. It's about scope." Dr. Bauer nodded. "Correct." Applause rippled through the room, short, respectful, but noticeable. Trump forced a smile. "I was going to say that too. I just wanted him to answer first. I'm generous like that." A few uneasy chuckles. Obama offered a polite smile and stayed silent. The next question appeared, a number pattern. Trump's hand shot up before the moderators even finished reading. "Easy. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. Doubles every time. Next is 64. Everyone knows that." Dr. Strauss blinked. "Sir, that's not the pattern we're asking about." The full sequence appeared, 3, 9, 27. A laugh rolled quietly through the room. Obama glanced over, then said gently, 81. "Correct," Dr. Bauer confirmed. Trump frowned. "Well, same thing. Same idea. I'm great with numbers." "Of course," Obama replied. "We're all here to learn. No edge. No mockery," but the audience caught the subtle humor, and laughter swelled again. Even Trump's own team backstage shifted uncomfortably. The third question was a visual puzzle, a grid of rotating abstract shapes. Both were handed tablets. Obama studied it carefully, tracing subtle angles in the air. Trump stared at his, head tilted. "Too easy," he muttered. "Just match the triangles with the circles." He tapped confidently. After a few more seconds, Obama tapped his answer. The results flashed. Obama, correct. Trump, incorrect. Dr. Chen explained, "It's not matching shapes, sir. It's rotational symmetry. Each figure rotates 90 degrees between frames." "Rotational what now?" Trump asked. "Symmetry," Chen repeated. Trump gave a small laugh. "Sure. 90 degrees. I knew that." But something in the room shifted. The air felt different. Obama wasn't performing. He didn't need to. His calm pacing, his patience, his clean explanations, they were widening the gap every minute. Then came the fourth question, a classic riddle. A farmer has 17 sheep. All but 9 run away. How many remain? Trump grinned. "Easy. 8. Obama, still writing, said softly, 9. Dr. Bauer smiled. "Correct." Trump blinked. "What?" "But it said all but 9, so 9 stayed," Obama replied without looking up. Laughter swept the room. Even Dr. Strauss broke into a grin. Trump shifted, color rising in his cheeks. "Cute. But I like real questions. Not trick ones." All these questions come from standardized reasoning tests, Dr. Bauer said evenly. For the first time, Trump said nothing that he leaned back, arms crossed that as the round continued, something subtle but powerful began unfolding. Obama started explaining his reasoning, not to boast, but to make the thinking clear. When you slow down, he said during one solution, you'll notice most problems hide simple patterns in plain sight. People leaned in. Even through the broadcast, viewers could feel it. The professor had taken over. This wasn't politics anymore. It wasn't bravado now, it was intellect on full display. Trump tried to jump in. You know, I'm a quick thinker. I don't need to slow down. That's how I built everything, fast decisions. Obama offered a faint smile. Fast is good when you're certain. But accuracy matters too. That line landed like a soft but flawless checkmate. Within minutes, clips spread across social media. Fast is good when you're certain became a worldwide trend. News anchors replayed the moment between segments, and analysts called it the calmest clapback in modern politics. Trump felt the room changing and grew tense. That he cracked more jokes, cut in more often, searched the audience for energy, anything. But the more he talked, the more obvious it became. This wasn't his battlefield. Obama stayed unshaken. Every question, every answer, steady pace, no ego, no rush, just clean thinking. As they neared the midpoint, the moderators announced the next problem, an advanced pattern recognition challenge. Dr. Strauss cleared her throat. Question 6, identify the next symbol in this sequence. A string of intricate diagrams appeared, something that looked stolen from a graduate logic final. Obama looked once. Then again, his pen touched the paper. Option C, he said. Dr. Bauer nodded. Correct. Trump leaned in. Wait, how? That was too fast. Obama relaxed back in his seat. Sometimes the pattern shows up when you stop chasing shortcuts. For a brief moment, the room fell silent, then applause swelled. Trump smiled, but it was stretched tight. You know, he said, people tell me I have a photographic memory that I just don't use it on pointless shapes. The moderators stayed silent, but the moment had slipped away. The contrast was now crystal clear. Obama, measured clarity. Trump, raw, jittery energy. But the real turning point, the one people would talk about for years, was still ahead. The 31-second question that changed everything. The atmosphere shifted. You could feel it even through screens across the country. The hush before something major. Dr. Strauss adjusted her glasses. We'll now proceed to the final question of this round. This one measures analytical reasoning and applied logic. A new puzzle appeared. No numbers, no diagrams. A deceptively simple word problem. A family has 3 daughters. Each daughter has 1 brother. How many children are in the family? The timer flashed to life. 00:31. Trump lunged for his pen. 3 daughters, 1 brother each. That's 3 brothers, 3 sisters, 6. Easy. He scribbled 6 in bold strokes, nodding to himself. Obama didn't write right away. That he watched the ticking timer, then lowered his eyes to the pad. Anyone watching could see the gears turning, quiet, deliberate. That he murmured, each daughter has 1 brother, the same brother. A small smile. He wrote 4. With 23 seconds left, he looked up. 4. Dr. Bauer tapped the scoring key. A green light blinked. Correct. The silence afterward was electric, that drawn-out moment when a crowd realizes they've just witnessed something subtle and devastatingly sharp. Then applause broke loose, soft at first, then growing, stretching, swelling. Dr. Strauss's expression warmed. Excellent reasoning. You identified the relational assumption. Obama gave a modest nod. Sometimes you just have to read what it says, not what you expect. Trump snapped his head toward him. What's that supposed to mean? Obama's smile didn't fade. It means we complicate things when the answer's simple. The audience laughed, not mockingly, but with a mix of relief and admiration. Trump forced a grin. Well, I did that on purpose. I wanted people to see how tricky the questions are. It's about exposing flaws, not playing teacher. Dr. Chen replied gently, the objective is accurate reasoning, sir. Exactly, Trump said quickly, trying to reclaim control, but even his supporters felt the shift. Something in that 31-second exchange had flipped the energy of the whole night. Obama hadn't just answered correctly, he'd done it with effortless poise that made Trump's bravado seem small. In the control room, a producer whispered, that's the moment. Another answered, replay it. Show the timer. Seconds later, the broadcast split the screen, Obama calmly writing, "For, with time to spare," Trump's page covered in crossed-out guesses, commentators across the country would later call it. Across the country, living rooms went quiet during that 31-second moment. People weren't cheering, they were absorbing it. Parents tried explaining the logic to their kids. Teenagers clipped the exchange and captioned it, "Obama ends the challenge in 31 seconds." Even Trump's usual defenders struggled to respond. On one conservative panel, a commentator attempted, "IQ tests don't really mean anything." Another shot back, "Then why issue the challenge on live TV?" At the venue, the moderators began to close out the round, but the atmosphere had clearly shifted. Obama leaned back comfortably, hands folded. Trump sat forward, jaw tight, eyes bouncing between his notes and the audience. Dr. Strauss smiled politely at both. "We'll now move to analysis and reflection." Obama nodded, relaxed. But Trump cut in, "Before we continue, I just want to say this was fun, but it felt a little biased." "Biased how?" Dr. Bauer asked gently. "These were trick questions," Trump insisted. "Not real-world questions. I solve real-world problems, business, politics, deals." Obama lifted his eyes from his notepad. "Problem solving is problem solving, Mr. President. The setting doesn't change that." The audience murmured in agreement. Trump laughed loudly, just a bit forced. "You'd think I'd be used to hostile rooms by now." Obama remained calm. "I think people just want honesty. That's all." For the first time that night, Trump went still. He glanced at the crowd, then at the cameras. The moderators continued. "That concludes round 2, Dr. Strauss announced. Scores will be displayed shortly." The board lit up, Obama, 9 out of 10. Trump, 4 out of 10. Applause rose again, respectful, steady, unmistakably strong. Obama offered a small nod. Trump didn't move, staring at the numbers, expression unreadable. Something subtle passed between them in that quiet, not antagonism, but recognition. Obama turned slightly and said softly, "Intelligence isn't competition. It's curiosity." Trump didn't answer, gripping his pen. The moderators thanked both former presidents as the broadcast shifted toward commentary. Reporters typed frantically, headlines forming instantly. Obama outsmarts Trump in 31 seconds. Grace versus bravado, the IQ showdown. But things weren't ending there. Trump wasn't known for quiet exits. As cameras kept rolling for post-test interviews, his team gathered backstage, voices low but urgent. Victor Dunning spoke first. "Sir, maybe we frame this as entertainment, not a competition. You showed leadership by participating." Trump shook his head. "No. We fight. People need to know it was rigged." Meanwhile, Obama was out front, shaking hands with moderators, smiling politely. When a reporter asked for his reaction, he simply said, "It's not about who's smarter. It's about how we use what we know to make things better." That line went viral too, not because it was sharp, but because it felt sincere. But the pushback from Trump's camp would turn this single test into something far bigger than anyone expected. The moment the scores flashed, Obama 9, Trump 4, the internet exploded. Comment threads, newsroom chats, group texts, all buzzing with disbelief. Every major network jumped into live analysis, anchors scrambling to interpret what they'd just seen. Inside the National Press Club, the moderator tried to close the event, but applause kept going. Obama stood, buttoned his jacket, and offered Trump his hand. "Good game," he said quietly. Trump paused, then shook it, face stiff. "Yeah. Great show." The cameras zoomed in. That handshake, Obama calm, Trump rigid, would be the next morning's front-page image worldwide. As coverage shifted to post-event interviews, each man was guided to a separate studio. The difference was striking. Down the hall, Obama sat comfortably for NBC's Dana Hollis. "People are calling this the 31-second lesson," she said. "How do you feel about tonight?" Obama smiled modestly. I think it went the way it should. It wasn't about winning or losing. It was about showing that intelligence doesn't shout, it thinks. She added, some say it looked effortless. I've practiced staying calm under pressure, he replied. That's really all this was, a reminder that leadership means composure. Meanwhile, Trump's room was tense. Staff whispered, adjusting equipment. Trump sat stiffly, jaw locked. Fox host Dan Richards opened sympathetically, Mr. President, critics are saying tonight was a clear win for Obama. Your response? Trump leaned in. First of all, that test was unfair. They used questions meant to trick, not measure intelligence. Everyone knows I'm one of the smartest people alive. Ask the generals. Ask business leaders. So you believe it wasn't a fair assessment? Richards asked. Not at all, Trump snapped. It was biased. I could design a better test in an hour, a real-world test. Not riddles about trains and sheep. Backstage, Victor Dunning rubbed his forehead. He recognized that tone, the defensive spiral that always made things worse. We need to pivot, he muttered to an aide. He's doubling down, Victor muttered as Obama's interview wrapped up smoothly. Outside the building, reporters shouted questions about Trump's reaction. Obama paused, glanced back, and said, I think Americans saw what they needed to see. Then he stepped into his car and vanished into the Washington night. Inside, Trump wasn't going anywhere. His team scrambled to shape a message. We frame it as entertainment, Victor urged. You volunteered, you were confident, we pushed that angle. Trump shook his head. No. We call it rigged. I know those moderators, they were never neutral. By the time he finally exited, social media had settled on its own story. Clips of the 31-second question spread everywhere. TikTok users layered dramatic music. YouTubers slowed the footage, highlighting Obama's calm face beside Trump's frantic scribbling. Hashtags like #ObamaWins and #IQGate rocketed to the top of global trends. Even foreign officials tossed in subtle digs. A European minister posted, reason beats rhetoric, every time. Late-night hosts jumped on it too. Jimmy Kimmel replayed the riddle 3 times before joking, that question didn't just stump Trump, it's when he realized the test was actually real. The audience roared, but not everyone was laughing. Conservative pundits erupted, the moderator stacked the deck, one raged this was intellectual elitism, another declared, yet a few admitted the obvious. He challenged a man famous for his intellect, one commentator sighed. He built the stage, then walked straight into it. By midnight, the White House communications office was in full damage control mode. Viral tweets compared still images, Trump's tense stare versus Obama's relaxed smile. The captions were ruthless, the face of overconfidence meeting reality. At home, Trump flipped between networks, each replaying the sequence in slow motion, Obama's quiet 4, then Trump's louder 6. He slammed the remote. Enough. Get me on camera tomorrow. I'll explain everything. Victor exhaled heavily. Sir. I think the public might be ready to move on. Exactly, Trump snapped. Which is why I won't let them. We dictate the story. Meanwhile in Chicago, Obama phoned Dr. Strauss. Thanks for keeping everything steady. You handled it well, she said. That 31-second answer. Media students will be studying it for a decade. Obama chuckled. I just read carefully. By morning, every major paper ran a variation of the same headline, Calm versus Chaos, Obama outsmarts Trump. A lesson in leadership, but the most revealing opinions came from everyday Americans. A truck driver in Kansas told a local reporter, I'm not into politics. I just liked seeing someone stay calm while the other guy unraveled. The story had outgrown politics. It had become a cultural mirror. People weren't debating IQ anymore, they were talking about patience, pride, and the difference between sounding smart and being smart. The next day in the West Wing, Trump's aides tried steering the conversation to new topics. But Trump kept looping back. They won't be laughing long, he insisted. We'll do another event. Something huge. Victor looked worn out. Sir, sometimes the best win is walking away. Trump scowled. Winners don't walk away. But for millions watching around the world, the verdict felt final. The test wasn't just about intelligence, it was about poise, and in those 31 quiet seconds, as one man calmly wrote 4, and the other insisted 6, their difference became unmistakably clear. As the media storm intensified and global audiences dissected every detail, what happened next would turn this single televised test into a full-scale political shockwave. By dawn, the world had chosen its narrative. TV anchors kept replaying Obama's measured answer, the now iconic 31-second moment. Social media analyzed every micro-expression, every pause, every breath. He answered it in 31 seconds, became a cultural catchphrase, used to describe quiet moments of poetic justice, the power of calm logic beating loud confidence. Across breakfast tables nationwide, families debated the moment. In a St. Louis diner, two older men watched the replay. That's the difference between confidence and wisdom, one said, the other nodded. One talks. The other thinks. In Los Angeles, a college professor opened class by playing the clip. This, she told her students, is how composure dismantles chaos. They laughed, but listened. They'd all seen it, Obama's controlled reasoning against Trump's rushed defense. What began as a stunt had become a national case study in self-control. By mid-morning, networks launched full panels. CNN, IQ test or power test, MSNBC, the 31-second reckoning. Even Fox softened it. Trump questions test fairness, but online, the verdict was locked in. TikTok creators made dramatic edits of Obama breaking down logic puzzles. YouTubers froze the exact frame Trump realized his error. On Reddit, a top comment read, 31 seconds of silence louder than 4 years of shouting. Even international outlets covered it. The Guardian called it a public masterclass in calm intelligence. Germany's Der Spiegel ran the headline, translated bluntly, Obama outsmarts Trump, and the world watches. French outlets were even simpler, Le silence d'Obama. But at the same time, Trump loyalists were only digging in. Conservative radio hosts framed the event as out-of-touch elitism. One commentator argued, the media is gushing over an IQ test while real Americans are working double shifts. This isn't about intelligence, it's about values. But even that spin felt strained. The clip was too striking to ignore. At a high school in Cleveland, a teacher overheard students arguing, Trump's not stupid, he's just fast, one said. Another countered, fast? He's just loud. That's not the same thing. The teacher smiled. For once, politics had become a lesson in perception instead of division. Meanwhile, late-night TV was merciless. Colbert opened with, if this were a boxing match, Obama won by checkmate. The audience erupted. Within 2 days, Saturday Night Live aired a sketch showing Trump trying to change his answer mid-test. I said 4. You just didn't hear it. Funny, but beneath the humor was a quiet national exhale. To many Americans, Obama's composure felt like rediscovering an old memory. Dignity, steadiness, intelligence expressed through restraint. Behind the scenes, Obama refused to gloat that he declined interviews, ignored TV invitations, even told his staff, let's not make this a circus. The moment already spoke. That restraint only raised the public's respect. His social media stayed silent except for a single tweet 2 days later. Wisdom isn't knowing everything, it's knowing when to listen. It became the most liked tweet of the month. Meanwhile, Trump's irritation grew. The harder he pushed the narrative, the more it pushed back that he claimed the test was fake. The moderators biased, demanded reviews and explanations. But every time he spoke, it reminded people of one thing, the tone difference between the two men. Victor Dunning, exhausted after 2 days of cleanup, finally pulled him aside in the Oval Office. Mr. President, people aren't reacting to the score. They're reacting to how you handled it. Trump frowned. Handled what? I didn't lose. Victor sighed. Sometimes winning isn't about numbers, it's about how you carry yourself when you're wrong. Trump waved it off. I'm never wrong. That single line, overheard by an aide, leaked to reporters within hours. Soon headlines read, "Trump, I'm never wrong." In contrast, Obama's quiet restraint made him appear even steadier. Articles poured out describing humility as a form of intelligence. One columnist wrote, "It wasn't an IQ test, that IT was a character test." Even among Republicans, whispers started, he underestimated Obama. Again, one strategist admitted privately, across the country, the moment took on a moral shine. Parents told their kids, "That's how you stay calm under pressure." Teachers used the puzzle to explain logic, pastors referenced it in sermons about patience. For once, a political moment had become a parable. Throughout it all, Obama stayed out of the spotlight. That he ignored interviews, let the headlines burn out, and vanished into private life. When a journalist finally caught him outside a bookstore on Martha's Vineyard, asking if he had any final thoughts, he simply replied, "Pride makes noise. Intelligence doesn't need to." That clip went viral instantly. The White House tried to drown it out with announcements, rallies, policy drops, but the internet wasn't budging. The meme of the week was a split image, Obama calmly writing, "For," Trump frowning beside, 6, captioned, "Read the question." What began as bravado ended as a reminder of something timeless. Wisdom doesn't shout, and composure can quiet any storm. But the story didn't end there. The days following revealed something deeper, about leadership, ego, and the rare skill of losing with grace. By the time the dust settled, the test had become more than a viral moment. That IT had become a cultural marker. Late night shows moved on, but the 31-second clip lived everywhere, reposted, discussed, studied. That IT became shorthand for quiet confidence. It was the moment thought rose above noise, and in the weeks that followed, journalists called it the calm herd around the world. Editorials poured in, not about policy or party lines, but about pride, intellect, and what the exchange revealed about human behavior. At the National Press Club, staff joked that the test questions should be framed in the hallway. That was history. One of them said, "No matter how people spin it, the room felt different when it happened." Inside the White House, though, the mood was anything but light. Trump's team was drained. His approval numbers had dipped sharply in the days after the broadcast, and his advisors were scrambling to redirect the narrative. They pushed talking points, economic wins, trade deals, infrastructure headlines. But every press briefing still opened with the same question: "Do you regret challenging Obama?" Each time Trump waved it off, "No regrets." People loved it. Great entertainment. But the fatigue showed. Even his staff saw the change. The late-night tweets had slowed, and the swagger in his speeches carried a hint of bitterness. Victor Dunning, his longest-serving aide, finally approached him. That he waited until the Oval Office was quiet. "Sir," he said softly, "I've been with you through every campaign, every storm. But this hit differently." People didn't laugh at the mistake. They connected with the grace on the other side of it. Trump stared at him. "Grace doesn't win elections." Victor hesitated, "Maybe not. But it earns something you can't buy." For a moment, Trump was silent. That he turned toward the window, staring at his own faint reflection in the glass. Meanwhile, in Massachusetts, Obama's life returned to something close to normal. That he guest lectured at universities, spent time with his daughters, and rarely spoke about the event at all. When asked during a Q&A what he made of the whole thing, he replied, "If people learned something from it, I'm glad. That's all I ever wanted, for people to remember that knowledge isn't a weapon." The room applauded, not the polite applause of courtesy, but applause with weight behind it. Across the country, the moment had grown bigger than politics. For teachers, it became a case study in emotional intelligence. For parents, a story to teach their kids about staying calm when others lose control. For younger generations, a reminder that confidence isn't volume, it's patience. In one Minneapolis elementary school, a teacher wrote the family riddle on the board. A family has 3 daughters. Each daughter has one brother. How many children are in the family? After the students answered, she explained, "The trick isn't math. It's reading carefully, slowing down, thinking before reacting, just like life." That's how the story spread, not as a political win, but as a parable. Even months later, when reporters tried to stir the rivalry again, Obama refused. "It was just a test," he told one journalist, "but if it reminded people that thinking clearly matters, then I'm fine with that." Trump, however, couldn't let it rest. At a rally in Ohio, he said, "That test. Total scam. Everyone knows it. They cheated. They probably had the answers. The crowd cheered out of loyalty, but the fire was gone. It wasn't outrage anymore. It was exhaustion. Afterward, Victor pulled him aside. "Sir, maybe it's time to move on." Trump squinted. "You think I lost?" Victor sighed. "No. I think you forgot why you issued the challenge in the first place." For the first time, Trump didn't respond. He simply walked away. That same evening, pundits replayed his rally while Obama was seen leaving a quiet bookstore in Martha's Vineyard, a stack of novels in hand, waving at locals. A reporter asked if he had any final thoughts on the now famous test. He smiled gently and said, "We all get tested eventually, not by what we know, but by how we act when the world is watching." The line echoed far beyond politics. In the following months, the quote appeared on posters, classroom walls, Instagram stories, everywhere. People repeated it whenever someone lost their temper or handled a challenge poorly. How you act when the world is watching. The test had been about IQ, but it revealed something deeper, the contrast between ego and integrity, between pride and patience, between loudness and leadership. Obama's true victory wasn't solving a puzzle in 31 seconds. It was proving that real intelligence isn't measured on paper. It's shown in how someone handles pressure, criticism, and grace in difficult moments. Trump's challenge was meant to expose weakness. Instead, it reminded millions that humility is its own kind of strength, a quiet power that never needs to announce itself. In the end, the lesson was simple and lasting. Wisdom doesn't argue. It demonstrates, and somewhere beneath the noise of politics and headlines, people remembered what leadership used to look like: composed, thoughtful, unshaken. So the next time someone tries to measure you with their own yardstick, remember, it's not about how fast you answer or how loud you speak. It's about how steady you stay when the clock is ticking. If you believe true strength comes from composure, and that grace speaks louder than ego, subscribe for more stories like this, because the world still needs reminders that silence, when used wisely, can echo louder than any shout.